Hello and welcome to the Mexican Conservative. I am your host, the Mexican Conservative, and this is the Daily Brief. Before I get started with the show today, I just wanted to kind of give a shout out to a couple other channels I discovered that are Hispanics, that have Hispanics and are conservative. There is the Conservative Mexican, not to be confused with the Mexican Conservative. You can find him on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. You will also be able to find the Conservative Latina. She is also on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. I would go check them out. They are both, they're pretty funny and a lot of stuff they do. Alright, jumping into the show today, what I want to talk about today is the Second Amendment. There's been a lot of talk going around about the Second Amendment because of everything that happened in Florida recently with the school shooting. And there's a lot of BS that's kind of floating around in Washington and such about what to do about the Second Amendment. What restrictions, age restrictions, so on and so forth. So I just figured I'd jump in and give my take on what I think should be happening. Now, should they be increasing the age restriction for people with long rifles? What doesn't make any sense to me is that forever now, it's been since you turned into an adult at the age of 18, you're able to purchase a firearm. Because at that point in your life, you are an adult. And you have the, forethought and been taught responsibility throughout your life so that you can handle that type of weapon. Now, I know that with a lot of modern people nowadays, and a lot of modern young people, when they hit 18, they aren't becoming adults. Most of them aren't becoming real adults until they turn about 25, which is actually a little upsetting and disturbing. They're not realizing that it's time to grow up until age 25. So that's 1/4 of their life that they've already spent doing nothing but acting like children. But yeah, for the longest time, you turn to an adult, you get a firearm. You're allowed to go and purchase one. Then with all the stuff that happened back in the early 90s and stuff, they raised the handguns that you can only purchase a handgun if you're 21, same as the drinking age. And now they want to do the same thing with long rifles. It's like, well, it doesn't make any sense. Are you going to change the voting age to 21 next? Are you going to say that you have to, at the age of 21, you will be an adult? Because that's when you'll be able to drink, buy guns, and vote. That'll be the next thing. Because as of right now, 18 is considered to be a legal adult, but I'm sure they'll change that, and then we'll have a whole heaping mess of troubles throughout the country. Because right now, you can, at the age of 18, you can do basically anything another adult could do. Except now, you can't buy a pistol, and you can't drink. Now, when people were younger, the drinking age was also 18. My parents used to tell me about how they would go over to people's houses and this is the difference between our generation, the modern generation, and older generations. My parents would tell me stories about how they'd have a jar, everybody would throw their keys in the jar, and come over to the house, drink and party, and stay at the house, because they didn't want to go be drinking and driving on the roads because it was dangerous and dumb. Now, fast forward to this generation, they don't do that. Everybody, after the party's over, leaves. It's like one of those differences. Older generation says, you know what, we shouldn't be drinking and driving at the same time. Let's everybody crash here at my house. That's where the party is happening. We'll all just crash here. That way people stay safe. It's common sense. It's something that's disappeared between generations. It's common sense. You see less and less of it as generations progress. Now, are there people that are in these recent generations that have common sense? Yes, there are. But it's becoming almost like an oddity. Like, oh my gosh, that person didn't walk into traffic without looking. How strange. It's one of those type of situations that is becoming very upsetting for us in this modern world and modern society. If people aren't hand-holding other people, suddenly it's a problem. And they need to be handheld. They need to be coddled. And they said they were going to apply common sense gun laws. Well, I haven't seen any common sense gun laws at all. All I've seen is a failure by the state or by the government to protect people, and then they blame it on the guns so that they can confiscate guns and take them away. The biggest braggers for this is like California. They brag so much about how they take away people's guns. Oh, look how great we are at taking away people's weapons. It's awesome. We're the best. We're the best at doing it. It's like, is that really a thing to be proud of? You have a registered firearm and you're going into someone's home and taking it. Someone that didn't break the law. I mean, that happens a lot in California. So that's obviously a serious problem. Now, are they taking away gangsters' guns and all this other type of stuff? Well, yeah, they are. But they're also taking away innocent people's guns because they can claim that they are mentally unfit and take them away. That's all they're doing. It's not even them going through the entire legal process of proving someone is mentally unfit. The state of California simply has to claim that you are mentally unfit, and therefore the sheriff's department, your local police department can come into your home and confiscate your weapons until such time as you either deem mentally unfit or you're deemed mentally fit. But by the time you're deemed mentally fit, the police department has melted down and or destroyed your guns, and they will pay you the equivalent of whatever they are worth. Or what they believe they're worth. So it's a very unfair and rigged system against a lot of people. And I personally believe that everyone has the right to own and bear arms. We've done it for almost 300 years in this country. Why in the last 20 or 30 is it now an issue? And I tell you why it's an issue. It's because of people like from the hippie generation who aren't properly teaching their children like gun safety, responsibility, all that type of simple stuff that previous generations were taught. Be hardworking, take responsibility for your actions, don't be stupid. That was a big one. I grew up in a Mexican household, okay? If my mom didn't like something I was doing, she told me. She was like, you're a dumbass? You're an idiot? What are you, mentally challenged? You retarded? Or she'd take off her sandal and she'd come across and she'd smack you. It's like I did some dumb things when I was young, but not like other people. It's like a very Mexican household. If your mom caught you doing anything stupid, she was going to beat your ass. And that's just how it really should work. Too many parents are afraid nowadays of disciplining children, so therefore you grow up with this whole generation of these spoiled brats who think they can do whatever they want. And having a generation of spoiled children is not exactly helpful. That's kind of what millennials are. They're just a whole generation of spoiled children who think they know what's best because they've been allowed to tell everybody what to do for so long. And now we're growing up to realize that they don't know what's best. And they're freaking out about it, so they want to change the rules. They want to change the rules and say that they know what's best. And that's where all that socialism and all that crap comes into play. Everybody's equal, but I'm more equal. Yeah. So to get back to the point, everybody should have the right to bear arms. Everybody. Now, should there be restrictions on some people? Yes. Felons? No guns. Criminals? I don't care if you got caught selling an ounce of weed. If you go through the criminal law system and you're not a violent offender never should have a right to have a weapon. A non-violent offender, you can have a gun. But the moment you get caught, that goes away. Same way with your voting status. I also believe that people who get caught using a weapon or felons or whatever should also get their voting rights taken away. Because obviously they're not responsible enough to be functioning members of society, so they don't need to be responsible for having a firearm or the ability to vote. Now, for those who are mentally unstable, okay, I can see that. But the problem is that states abuse it, and the states that have it, they're also claiming that lots of people are mentally unfit, even though they're not. But they're saying so in order to confiscate their weapons and take them away. All in all, I think the government right now just needs to keep their nose out of the business, maybe make purchasing laws a little bit tougher. They said there's a gun show loophole that doesn't exist, so it's just a bunch of nonsense. It's all them ranting and raving about something that they can't control that will never change. And they might enact a few things to make it a little bit more difficult to buy a firearm, but in all reality, it's not going to change anything. A school shooting is going to happen, a mass shooting is going to happen, because there are evil people out there. But then the government and like the left like to punish good people, for what bad people do. It's one of those disturbing circumstances that never seem to make any sense. Alright, well that does it for me today. If you guys want to get a hold of me, you can find me on Facebook at The Mexican Conservative. You can also find me on Twitter. And like, comment, and subscribe. Just let me know if you like what's coming out of this channel. If you don't like what's coming out of this channel, let me know too. I'm not afraid to hear criticism. I'm not scared of it. It's just a word. It's just your words. And these are my words. Alright, but you guys have a good day. Thank you for listening. And remember, we are here, and we are here because we disagree.